Desmond, what are you doing here?
Mara, are you my son's fiancé?
God, my life don't spoil you.
Mara thought she had buried her past the day she chose love, until she looked into her fiancé's family living room and saw the face of the man who owned her darkest secret. The first time Mara realized her life had split into a before and an after was on a humid Tuesday. She was standing at the edge of the road, clutching a small nylon bag that held everything she owned that still felt important, watching buses rush past her without stopping. Her phone buzzed in her hand, another reminder from her landlord, another polite threat wrapped in courtesy. Around her, the city moved with careless confidence, as though it had never known what it meant to be afraid of tomorrow. Mara had always believed that goodness was a kind of shield. If she did the right things, loved the right people, and prayed hard enough, life would eventually be kind to her. She had grown up with that belief stitched into her bones. Her mother used to say, "Your name will protect you, Mara." But being good, she has learnt, doesn't pay the bills. She turned from the road and began walking, her shoes worn thin at the soles. Each step felt heavier than the last, not because of the distance, but because of the questions pressing against her chest. How had she come to this? How had life slipped so quietly from her grip? By the time she reached her small apartment, the sun was already setting, bleeding orange and red across the sky. She dropped her bag, sank onto the floor, and finally allowed herself to cry. That night, she called Temi. Temi had always been everything Mara was not. Confident, fearless, and beautiful in a way that made people turn their heads twice. Where Mara hesitated, Temi stepped forward. Where Mara waited for permission, Temi created her own rules. They had met years ago at the university, two girls sharing dreams in a cramped hostel room, promising each other that they would never struggle forever. Somewhere along the line, Temi had escaped the promise and stepped into a different world. Mara noticed it in the little things at first. The way Temi's dressing changed. The way her phone never seemed to stop ringing. The way she spoke about money was as though it were an inconvenience rather than a crisis. So when Temi answered the phone that night, her voice warm and untroubled, Mara felt both relief and shame. "Babe, what's wrong?" Temi asked immediately. She had always been able to hear the cracks in Mara's voice. Mara swallowed. "I need help." "What's the problem?" Temi replied with concern. Mara couldn't say anything as tears filled her eyes. Temi heard her sniff. "Are you crying? Can we see tomorrow? It's really important," Mara said with a cracking voice. "All right, but whatever it is, just calm down, okay?" "I'll try," Mara replied. As they hung up, Mara cried herself to sleep. They met the next day at a quiet cafe, tucked away from the noise of the main road. Temi arrived, glowing, dressed effortlessly, her presence filling the space like sunlight, her scent filling the room. Mara sat across from her, fingers wrapped tightly around a cup of tea she could barely afford. "You look tired," Temi said gently, while touching her face. "Are you sick? Is everything okay?" Temi asked. "I'm not sick. I'm just tired," Mara replied. Then the words spilled out. She complained about her rent, the debt she owed, some lost opportunities, and lots of prayers that seemed to bounce back unanswered. She spoke until her throat hurt and her eyes burned. Temi listened without interrupting. When Mara finished, there was a long silence between them. "Tell me," Mara said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "What are you doing? How are you making this money? And please don't tell me it's luck, because I really want to know." Temi leaned back, studying her carefully for like 2 minutes. For the first time, there was something guarded in her eyes. "Are you sure you want to know?" Temi asked. Mara nodded. Desperation had stripped her of pride. Temi exhaled slowly. "I keep men company," she finally replied, looking straight into Mara's eyes. The words hovered in the air, heavy and undeniable. Mara frowned. "Company?" Temi didn't smile. "I sleep with men. Powerful men. And they take care of me." Mara's stomach twisted. "Temi, I know," Temi said quickly. "It's not what we planned when we were younger. But it works. I'm not starving. I'm not begging. I'm in control of my life. I have everything I want." Mara shook her head. "I can't do that, oh." Temi reached across the table, squeezing her hand. "I didn't think I could either. until life gave me no choice. Temmie looked at her while Mara was still in confusion. She didn't know whether to go ahead or just forget about it. But she really needed money at this point in her life. They spoke for some time and enjoyed their tea together for a while. They parted that day with an unspoken tension between them. Mara went home, carrying Temmie's words like a secret she didn't want but couldn't return. For weeks, Mara tried to forget the conversation. She applied for more jobs, she borrowed money she couldn't repay, she skipped meals, and smiled through humiliation. She prayed harder than she ever had before. But life did not soften. One night, as she lay on her mattress staring at the ceiling, Temmie's voice echoed in her mind. It works. Just once, Mara thought. At least if I try just once, I will have enough money to pay for my rent, she said to herself. Maybe I should do it. If it's working for Temmie, it should work for me as well. Mara kept trying to convince herself. Just enough to breathe again. She called Temmie the next morning. I need a connection, Mara said, her voice trembling. Just once. Temmie was quiet for a moment. Are you sure? Yes. There was a little silence. Then finally, Temmie broke it. No problem, I'll find someone for you, Temmie replied. They met that evening. Temmie didn't take her to a club or a hotel lobby as Mara had imagined. Instead, she drove her to a quiet place, introduced her to a man whose smile was practiced and whose eyes measured value without emotion. He was in his mid-50s or so. Hello, dear, you must be Mara. I am Desmond. He brought out his right hand. You can call me Poppy. Mara shook his hand and smiled back at him. Mara told herself not to think too much. She told herself this was temporary. It was just a one-time thing. She told herself she was still the same person. For the first time, Mara had to sleep with a man for money. When it was over, she cried in the bathroom, scrubbing her skin as though she could wash away the decision she had made. But when the man handed her the envelope, thick and heavy, something shifted inside her. It was more money than she had ever held at once. As Mara went home, something in her was relieved, but also guilty. Her problems did not disappear, but they became smaller and manageable. She called Temmie and thanked her so much. Temmie was happy she could help. Seeing the amount that came out, Mara decided if she did it again, at least she would be able to sort all her bills and escape from this poor life of hers. She spoke to Temmie about it, and without hesitation, Temmie brought another man for her. The next time was easier, and the time after that, easier still. She kept doing it, and little by little, all her bills got sorted out. Mara was finally debt-free. She moved to a better house and ate good food all the time. Her life suddenly changed for the better. Soon, the guilt dulled into something quieter, something she learned to push aside. She dressed better, slept better, smiled more. The city no longer felt like an enemy. Some months passed, and Mara became someone she barely recognized. Until one morning, she woke up and felt tired in a way sleep could not fix. She looked at herself in the mirror and did not like what she saw. Not because she was broken, but because she was becoming numb. That was when she decided to stop. She told Temmie about it. Temmie was surprised, but not shocked. Are you sure? She asked. You're doing so well. Why do you suddenly want to stop? Temmie asked. I want peace, Mara replied. I want a normal life. If you say so, I can't pressure you to do what you don't want, all right, Temmie said while looking at her for some minutes. Temmie sighed. Just be careful. This world doesn't like letting people go. Mara didn't understand what she meant then. Not fully. A few weeks passed, and Mara was finally getting the peace she wanted, or so she thought. One fine afternoon, Mara sat on her bed, pressing her phone, when a message dropped, inviting her to an engagement party. One of her old-time friend was getting engaged. That was where she met Kola. Kola was kind, soft-spoken, steady in a way that made her feel safe. He didn't ask too many questions. He didn't demand explanations. With him, Mara felt like she could breathe again. After weeks of talking, Kola finally broke it to her. He wanted her to be his girlfriend. Mara was so happy because for the first time in a long time, she actually liked someone. She accepted, and they started dating. Their relationship grew slowly and intentionally. For the first time in a long while, Mara felt hopeful, without fear lurking beneath it. They dated for months. No much trouble, no quarrels. The little issues they fixed like mature people, and their love grew stronger day by day. They dated for up to 4 months, when finally Kola knew she was meant for him, and he wanted to marry her. Kola planned the surprise proposal with her friend Temi. When Temi heard it, she was so happy and filled with genuine joy. They planned for a few days, and it was coming together. Mara had no clue. Temi called Mara to dress up, that they were going to a friend's engagement party, not knowing it was her own. Mara dressed up as usual, pretty and elegant. When Kola finally proposed, she cried tears of joy, while stretching her hand for the ring. This, she thought to herself, was her reward for choosing better. They planned their future with careful excitement. Everything was going smoothly, she believed. Then, one evening, her phone rang. A number she recognized but had hoped never to see again. At first, she wondered why he suddenly called. She didn't pick the first and second time, but the number kept calling. When she finally picked, she recognized the voice. "Hello? Mara." "Yes, and who am I speaking with?" she replied, trying to hide that she knew the voice. "Don't you remember me? It's Desmond. Don't tell me you deleted my number." He joked. "Oh, Desmond, actually I did. Is there any problem?" No, there's no problem. But I just wanted to spend time with you again. One last time. I really enjoyed you if I'm being honest," he replied. "And I'm going to pay you double what I gave you the last time," he added. He said it would be the last time. He said the amount would change her life. And he didn't sound like someone who was joking. Mara didn't sleep that night. She called Temi, panic breathing into her voice. "What do I do?" Temi hesitated. "If it's really the last time, maybe close the chapter properly. Just do it. After now you can stop since you'll be getting married," Temi added. Against her better judgment, Mara agreed. She told herself, just this last time. The money was huge, and it wasn't something anyone would easily turn down. She told herself it was the last time. She stayed up all night thinking about it. And finally, she slept. Mara and Desmond met as usual in a luxury hotel. They went straight to business. And he kept to his words. Double the usual price. Mara held the envelope and put it in her bag. The money was complete. At least she had earned it. Even if she felt a bit guilty because of her fiancé Kola. Kola decided it was time for her to meet his parents, and he met hers. The thought of it made Mara really excited because she really loved Kola, and she couldn't wait to spend forever with him. Kola also loved her more. When Kola took her to meet his parents days later, she walked into the living room smiling. His mom welcomed them as Mara sat on the couch. The living room was big and had a pleasant welcoming scent. Mara was still smiling as she sat down, while Kola went to call his dad. Mara turned her head in excitement. And then, she saw him. The world tilted. "Desmond?" she whispered to herself. Her smile dropped immediately. Her eyes opened wide, but she tried her best not to make it noticeable. The man's face froze for half a second before rearranging itself into polite surprise. Mara felt her heart shatter in silence. Her hands vibrated, but she hid it. No one else noticed. That was the cruelest part. He welcomed her with a smile, as if nothing was happening. She had to fake a smile as well, so no one would notice anything. They had lunch together, and they talked. They laughed as a family. But deep down, Mara wasn't okay at all. She was scared, not because of Desmond, but because she didn't want to lose Kola. Now she knew Desmond was Kola's father. Her mind wasn't fully in their conversation the whole time, and Kola noticed. But she kept telling him she was fine. "Maybe she's just shy because it's her first time seeing us," Desmond said, smiling. She knew everything was wrong. The guilt she once thought she got rid of started finding its way back into her life. She pretended everything was fine. She didn't want to spoil what they had going on. She finally went to him panicking. What if Kola finds out? What will he say? She asked herself in panic. What if he breaks up with me? She wandered around her room panicking. She called Temi and told her everything. Temi was shocked. She was so dumbfounded. What do you mean by Desmond is Kola's father? Temi asked again. Shocked. So what are you going to do now? Do you have anything in mind? Temi asked. No, I don't. I'm just really scared and confused, Mara replied. A few days passed. The father began calling her afterwards. At first, it was subtle. Missed calls late at night. Messages that pretended to be innocent. Just checking on you. It's strange to think you'll soon be my daughter-in-law. Each word carried a weight that made Mara's chest tighten. She stopped answering, but the calls did not stop. They became more insistent, more familiar, as though he believed that whatever had existed between them before still belonged to him. He reminded her of what they shared, without ever saying it directly. Of favors, of silence, of the money that had once saved her when she thought she was drowning. He spoke like a man confident that secrets were chains, and that she was already bound. Mara began to live in fear of her own phone. At family gatherings, she avoided his eyes. When he spoke to her in public, his voice was warm, almost fatherly, but she felt the double meaning beneath it, the private smile that never quite reached his face. Each time, her stomach twisted with shame and anger, not just at him, but at herself for ever believing she could leave that life without consequences. She stood at a crossroads every single day. On one side was the woman she had been, the girl who had learned to survive by doing what she once swore she never would. On the other side was the life she wanted so badly it hurt. A quiet home, a marriage built on honesty, mornings that did not begin with fear. The pressure became unbearable. The father's messages grew bolder. He wanted to see her. He said it was only right, now that she was about to officially become part of the family. He said no one would suspect anything. He said she owed him. Mara started losing sleep. She would lie beside Kola at night, listening to his steady breathing, and feel tears soak into her pillow. Every laugh she shared with him felt borrowed. Every plan for the future felt fragile, like glass ready to shatter at the slightest touch. She realized then that silence was costing her more than truth ever could. And so, one evening, with her heart pounding so loudly she could hear it in her ears, Mara told Kola she needed to talk. They sat across from each other, the space between them thick with tension. Her hands trembled as she spoke, her voice breaking as the words finally left her mouth. She told him about her past, about the choices she made when she felt cornered by life, about the man she never expected to see again, about the calls, the pressure, the fear. When she finished, the room was painfully quiet. Kola's face drained of color. The man she loved looked as though the ground beneath him had vanished. The truth broke something in him, his trust, his certainty, his image of the people he thought he knew. But it did not destroy them. He stood up, walked away, then came back. He did not shout. He did not insult her. His pain was raw, but so was his love. What you did, he said quietly, was wrong. What he did was worse. Together, they confronted the truth. The father was exposed not just to Kola, but to the family. The carefully built image of respect and authority cracked under the weight of his own actions. The silence that had protected him for so long finally lifted, and with it, the power he held over Mara disappeared. When it was over, Mara felt lighter than she had in years. Healing did not happen overnight. There were difficult conversations, tears, distance, days when Kola struggled to look at her without remembering everything she had confessed. Trust, once shaken, demanded patience and effort, but they chose each other again and again. Mara learned to forgive herself. Kola learned that love was not the absence of scars, but the willingness to face them together. Slowly, laughter returned. So did peace. On her wedding day, as Mara stood in front of the mirror, dressed in white, she barely recognized the girl she used to be, the one who thought survival meant surrendering pieces of herself. As she walked toward Kola, surrounded by family, sunlight pouring into the room, she understood something with absolute clarity. Survival should never cost your soul, and peace, once chosen, must be protected at all costs. She stepped into her future not as a woman running from her past, but as one who had faced it and won. If you were Kola, would you have gone ahead with the marriage? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Please like this video, share, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories.